Chapter 642. As expected of the storage rings of kings at the Great Success stage and Peak Kings, they were simply too rich. In total, there were more than 80 million supreme spiritual crystals in the 12 storage rings. 80 million peak-grade spiritual crystals was truly terrifying. Alchemy is truly profitable. Lu Ming sighed inwardly. Moreover, the people of the Cloud Sea Elixir Institution used the blood chi of infants to refine pills. Naturally, they would be able to earn more peak-grade spiritual crystals. Even peak kings and great success kings weren't that rich. Lu Ming estimated that Yun Luo's storage ring would definitely have more peak-grade spiritual crystals. It was a pity that Yun Luo had escaped. It's more than enough to become a peak king. After Lu Ming sorted out the peak-grade spiritual crystals, he looked at Xian Yinqing. At this moment, an invisible force field spread out from Xian Yinqing's body, covering an area of 100 meters. It was constantly vibrating and contracting. Xian Yinqing held the heavenly demon fruit in his hand. The heavenly demon fruit shone brightly and was absorbed by Xian Yinqing. It seemed that Xian Yinqing's cultivation wouldn't end anytime soon. With a thought, Lu Ming's body disappeared and entered the Temple of Paragon. His breakthrough would cause quite a commotion. If he was outside, it would most likely alert Xian Yinqing. Let's begin. With a wave of his hand, a huge pile of peak-grade spiritual crystals appeared. There were at least 1 million of them. Pong, pong. The million peak-grade spiritual crystals exploded and turned into dense heaven and earth spiritual chi. The 9 Dragons bloodline appeared. The 9 Dragons bloodline had reached the 8th level king grade. Its body seemed to have grown larger, and its scales were dense. It looked more and more like the legendary true dragons. Opening its mouth, a terrifying devouring power erupted. The energy of the million peak-grade spiritual crystals was sucked into the 9 Dragons bloodline. Lu Ming circulated the true dragon battle technique and started cultivating. Breaking through to the peak king grade required a lot of energy. Furthermore, he had to condense his cyclone to the extreme in preparation for breaking through to the Sea of Soul realm. Therefore, a lot of supreme spiritual crystals were needed. The devouring and refining power of the 9 Dragons bloodline increased several times. It didn't take long for the 1 million supreme-grade spiritual crystals to be refined. Lu Ming took out another 1 million. Just like that, 1 million after another. Endless energy was accumulating. When Lu Ming had refined 18 million pieces of supreme spiritual crystals, the cyclone in his dantian had finally become extremely condensed. It was like a rotating liquid, like the eye of the sea. At this moment, a powerful aura rose from Lu Ming's body. He had broken through to the Peak King realm. Rumble. Circulating the true battle dragon art, his true essence surged. Lu Ming felt that the strength of his true essence was several times stronger than before, and Lu Ming's battle strength had naturally increased by a large margin. Lu Ming opened his eyes and revealed a satisfied smile. Peak King warriors were considered to be standing at the peak of King warriors. The next step would be to open up the spirit ocean and step into the Sea of Souls realm. However, this step wasn't that easy. First, he had to comprehend the intent of heaven and earth to the 2nd level. Without the 2nd level intent of heaven and earth, only death would await him if he tried to break through to the Sea of Souls realm. Only a little more than a day has passed after refining so many supreme-grade spiritual crystals. Let's go see how Xiao Qing's cultivation is going. With a thought, Lu Ming left the Temple of Paragon. Wong, Wong. As soon as Lu Ming appeared, he felt a powerful force field surging. He felt a huge pressure on his body. Lu Ming moved and retreated a few hundred meters before the pressure disappeared. The heavenly demon fruit in Xian Yinqing's hand had already disappeared. Her long hair fluttered in the wind as a lotus floated above her head. A beautiful woman sat cross-legged on the lotus. Powerful force fields constantly emanated from Xian Yinqing's body. Not simple, not simple. Dandan circled around Xian Yinqing, its eyes darting around as it sized up Xian Yinqing. 8 hours later, the force field around Xian Yinqing suddenly shrank and disappeared from her body. At this moment, Xian Yinqing opened her eyes. Xiao Qing, how was it? Did you break through the heavenly demon force field? Lu Ming walked over and smiled. Of course. How was it? Do you want to test its power? There was a sly smile at the corners of Xian Yinqing's lips. He stared at Lu Ming with evil intentions. Do you think you can defeat me just because you broke through? You'll be disappointed again. Lu Ming smiled confidently. Is that so? Then I'll give it a try. Xian Yinqing smiled. As soon as she finished speaking, she pressed her palms forward. Buzz. An incomparably powerful force field erupted and instantly enveloped Lu Ming. Lu Ming felt as if there was a majestic mountain pressing down on him. So strong. It's several times stronger than before. Lu Ming's eyes revealed a trace of amazement. Boom. In the next moment, a powerful aura erupted from Lu Ming's body. He circulated his true essence and combined the three essences of heaven and earth to expand the power of the heavenly demon force field. You've broken through in your cultivation? Xian Yinqing exclaimed in surprise. Of course. You've broken through. So how can I not? Lu Ming chuckled. Just in time. Destruction cut. Xian Yinqing shouted and pressed her palms together. A terrifying cutting power erupted from the heavenly demon force field. This cutting power was formed from the concept of destruction in the heavenly demon force field. It was incomparably sharp. Even a level 5 spiritual weapon would be cut apart. Lu Ming condensed a long spear with true essence in his hand. With the tip as the center, the long spear spun rapidly like a drill and drilled in Xian Yinqing's direction. Bang! Bang! With a rumble, the domain in front of him was broken. Lu Ming stepped forward and avoided Xian Yinqing's attack. If he wanted to defeat Xian Yinqing, he would first have to rush out of this domain and kill his way to Xian Yinqing. Little Qing, after I take him down, I'll have to reward you. Lu Ming's gaze swept over Xian Yinqing's body. You want to take me down? Dream on. Xian Yinqing shouted, and her bloodline erupted. Her slender jade-like hands pressed down again. A beautiful arm formed out of thin air and slapped down at Lu Ming. The terrifying palm energy swept towards Lu Ming like raging waves. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. He didn't dare to be careless. He stabbed out with his spear, and a huge tricolor true dragon rushed out and collided with the beautiful palm. Boom! The earth trembled horribly. The terrain rose and fell. Violent energy swept in all directions. Lu Ming's body shook slightly, and he took 3 steps back. Xian Yinqing, on the other hand, took 3 steps back. They were evenly matched. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. He was about to erupt his bloodline and fight with Xian Yinqing. Xian Yinqing withdrew her heavenly demon force field and said, Stop, stop. Today's a draw. Stop? Lu Ming was a little speechless. Putting everything else aside, Xian Yinqing was a good opponent. Lu Ming wanted to erupt his bloodline and fight with all his strength, but Xian Yinqing stopped. You're a big man. Why are you so serious when fighting with a little girl like me? How petty. Who wants to fight with you? Chapter 643. Lu Ming gave a wry smile. All right, it was Xian Yinqing who said he wanted to have a competition. Now, it was Lu Ming who was in the wrong. What could Lu Ming say? He could only tell himself that he should never try to reason with a woman, because his reason might not be hers. With a faint smile, Xian Yinqing's figure flashed as he grabbed Dandan and placed her on his shoulder. Then, he rose into the air and flew toward the west. Lu Ming walked in the air and chased after her. The chaotic astral ocean was not close from here. It was almost half the distance of the Yunfeng territory. Even with their speed, it would take them almost 10 days to fly there. Little Qing, you cultivate the destruction mentality and the wind mentality, right? On the way, Lu Ming asked. Yes, I comprehended the destruction mentality from my bloodline. Xian Yinqing said. Those two mentalities don't seem to merge together. Do you think it's that easy to merge two mentalities? Xian Yinqing rolled her eyes at Lu Ming. Then, she thought of something and said, Not like you. You're so abnormal. I can teach you some experience of merging mentalities. How about it? Do you want to learn? Lu Ming said with a smile. Xian Yinqing's eyes brightened. Indeed, Lu Ming had successfully merged 3 mentalities. If she had Lu Ming's experience, she might really be able to merge 2 mentalities. If she could really merge the destruction mentality and the wind mentality, her heavenly demon force field would be enhanced to a terrifying level. Are you so kind that you'll teach me? Xian Yanqing asked tentatively. Of course not. I have a condition. Come, kiss me. I'll tell you how to merge them. Lu Ming said with a smile. Kiss you? Xian Yanqing's face was as red as a ripe apple. She glared fiercely at Lu Ming and said, I knew it. You're a pervert. You wish. Then, she clenched her teeth. Well, then forget it. I can't help it. Who told me to be a pervert? Lu Ming gave a long sigh. You. Xian Yanqing clenched her teeth. Her eyes kept changing. Then, she stared at Lu Ming with her face getting redder and redder. Finally, she actually approached him, closed her eyes, and kissed Lu Ming's face. Lu Ming's figure flashed and moved a few meters away, and laughed. Little Qing, what are you doing? It's just a joke. Did you take it? Ha ha. A scream came out of Xian Yanqing's mouth. Xian Yanqing blushed and glared at Lu Ming fiercely. She clenched her teeth and wanted to bite Lu Ming. In the end, she bared her teeth and pounced on Lu Ming to bite him. Lu Ming dodged and flew forward. He shouted, Nest, the tigress is biting. Stop. No, I won't stop. The two of them disappeared into the sky, one chasing and one escaping. Days passed. On the way, Lu Ming occasionally teased Xian Yanqing. He was in a good mood. Of course, he wouldn't be stingy. He shared his experience with Xian Yanqing. In addition, he took out a lot of Destruction Profound crystals for Xian Yanqing. The Destruction Profound crystals were also one of the many Destruction Profound crystals that Lu Ming had obtained in the Heaven Realm. When Xian Yanqing saw Lu Ming take out a lot of Destruction Profound crystals, and there were even many middle-grade Destruction Profound crystals, she couldn't help but be flabbergasted. Of course, she put them away without hesitation. Then, she took out a martial skill book and gave it to Lu Ming. The Exploding Star Fist was a heaven-grade upper-grade martial skill. Combined with the fire concept, it could erupt with a terrifying power like the explosion of a star. Lu Ming was overjoyed. His current attack methods were indeed a little monotonous. With this Exploding Star Fist, his attack methods would be a little more varied. He had obtained some martial skill books from others before, but they were all heaven-grade lower grade. Lu Ming didn't care about them at all. Most of them needed to be used with weapons to cultivate. They weren't suitable for Lu Ming. This martial skill book was just right for Lu Ming. The two of them weren't in a hurry to travel. They cultivated as they traveled. If they had comprehended something, they would stop and cultivate for a while. Lu Ming's comprehension of the Exploding Star Fist was also improving rapidly. The two of them flew for more than 20 days before arriving at the destination that was supposed to take 10 days. The random star city was located on the shore of the chaotic astral ocean. It could be considered as the border between the Cloud Peak domain and the chaotic astral ocean. The random star city could be said to be the most prosperous city in the Cloud Peak domain. Everyone who wanted to enter the chaotic astral ocean from the Cloud Peak domain had to pass through the random star city. Countless merchant associations and caravans gathered here. The chaotic astral ocean could be said to be the largest inland sea in the eastern wilderness. Its area was larger than many large domains. There were many precious materials and strange treasures that couldn't be found in the outside world. Therefore, countless merchant associations took the risk to enter the chaotic astral ocean to search for materials and treasures unique to the chaotic astral ocean and transport them to other large domains to sell. They could earn huge profits. And these merchant associations all had to set out from the random star city. It's really lively. Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing walked to the streets of the random star city. Looking at the endless stream of people coming and going, Lu Ming couldn't help but sigh. On both sides of the street, there were many shops. Inside, there were all kinds of wonderful materials and items from the sea. Lu Ming had never seen them before. It was a great eye-opener. After walking around, the two of them headed for the harbor outside the city. The so-called harbor of the random star city wasn't a place to dock ships, but a place to dock flying demonic beasts. This was because there were many aquatic demonic beasts living in the chaotic astral ocean. These aquatic demonic beasts were extremely powerful in the sea. They could overturn the clouds and rain. Ships sailing on the sea would definitely be defeated by the demonic beasts in the sea. Therefore, most people who entered the chaotic astral ocean rode on flying demonic beasts. Of course, riding on flying demonic beasts wasn't completely without danger. In the chaotic astral ocean, the weather was unpredictable. They might encounter a storm or thunderstorm at any time. As for the storms and thunderstorms, they were no ordinary storms and thunderstorms. Some of them were so terrifying that even kings would die within them. Also, the biggest danger in the chaotic astral ocean was pirates. Pirates were everywhere, robbing passers-by. The only outcome for those who were robbed was death. Therefore, all the warriors who wanted to enter the chaotic astral ocean would enter in groups. The most common way was to follow some caravans. The caravans themselves would have powerful forces, and they would also hire some guards with high cultivation. Therefore, as long as the caravans were given some spirit crystals, they would agree to go together. The benefits were mutual. One side could get the protection of the caravan's forces, and the other side, the more people there were in the caravans, the stronger the deterrence. Mutual benefits. Lu Ming and Xian Yinqing also wanted to find a caravan to go together. They weren't afraid of the pirates in the chaotic astral ocean, but because the chaotic astral ocean was too big. If no one led the way, it would be very easy to get lost. Chapter 644. The port of Random Star City was bustling with noise and excitement. Huge flying beasts were parked there. There were wind eagles, gale eagles, four-winged flying tigers, and so on. All kinds of flying beasts had one thing in common, which was great endurance and huge size. Each demonic beast could carry at least a few dozen people. These demonic beasts were not all standing together. Instead, they were clearly divided into different factions. Luyuan Chamber of Commerce is going to Fengyuan Island. Is there anyone who wants to go with us? Only 10,000 supreme spiritual crystals per person. Flame Chamber of Commerce is going to Jinsha Island. Let's go together. 12,000 supreme spiritual crystals per person. Tsunami Chamber of Commerce is calling for guards to go to Sea Lion Island. The price is set according to cultivation. Let's talk face to face. When the two arrived at the port, they heard shouts. Which island should we go to first? Xian Yinqing asked. Anything is fine. Let's choose a bigger island. Lu Ming said. The map shown by the Martial Emperor's treasure only pointed to the chaotic astral ocean, but it did not point to the specific location of the chaotic astral ocean. The two guessed that it would only point to the specific location when all 9 keys appeared. Therefore, they did not have a specific target and could only choose a random place. Then let's go to Jinsha Island. Jinsha Island is a big island with many martial artists gathered there. Xian Yinqing said. Okay. Lu Ming nodded, and then the two walked in the direction of the Flame Chamber of Commerce. You two, are you going to Jinsha Island? A middle-aged man with a goatee asked with a smile. Yes. Lu Ming nodded. Go to Jinsha Island. 12,000 supreme spiritual crystals per person. Our young lady is there. You can go there to sign up and pay. The middle-aged man with a goatee pointed. The two looked over and saw a young woman surrounded by a group of people standing under a huge four-winged flying tiger. Okay, thank you. Lu Ming cupped his fists and walked over with Xian Yinqing. Are you two going to Jinsha Island? The woman looked at Lu Ming and Xian Yinqing and smiled. The woman was in her 20s. She wore a light yellow long dress, which made her look delicate and pretty. This was the young lady that the goatee spoke of. Yes, this is the fee for both of us. Lu Ming took out 24,000 top-grade spiritual crystals and gave them to the young woman. The woman put it away and smiled. My name is Luo Xi. How should I address you? Lu Ming. Xian Yinqing. Lu Ming and Xian Yinqing also introduced themselves. Mr. Lu, Ms. Xia, the journey to Jinsha Island will take half a month. You can choose a four-winged flying tiger first. We will depart in 2 hours. Luo Xian smiled. All right. Lu Ming nodded. Then, he and Xian Yinqing chose a four-winged flying tiger. This four-winged flying tiger was 20 meters tall and had a wide back. It was lying on the ground. There were already a few people sitting cross-legged on the back of the four-winged flying tiger. The two of them moved and landed on the back of the four-winged flying tiger. They sat cross-legged and waited quietly. As soon as Lu Ming and Xian Yinqing left, a cold-looking young man beside Luo Xian said, 2 more useless people. There is not a single expert on this trip to Jinsha Island. How unlucky. Chinzhao, this is normal. We don't have experts with us every time. We are a caravan, so we have to rely more on ourselves, Luo Xian said. I know. Of course, I know that. However, if there are experts with us, we will be able to reduce the number of casualties if we encounter danger. The others nodded. That was indeed the case. Their caravan had brought people with them for two reasons. First, they could earn some money. Second, they wanted to borrow some strength. If they encountered danger along the way, they would lend a helping hand. If there were a few experts with them, it would be much safer. While they were chatting, more people came over. 2 hours passed in the blink of an eye. The people of the flame caravan, as well as the guards, were all on the back of the four-winged flying tiger. Let's go, Luo Xian shouted. The four-winged flying tiger roared and soared into the sky, flying toward the chaotic astral ocean. Lu Ming glanced over. There were 64 winged flying tigers. There were about 20 people on each of them. In total, there were more than 1,000 people. Most of them were from the flame caravan. There were about 200 of them, like Lu Ming and the others, who were following the caravan to Jinsha Island. There was nothing but people on the back of the four-winged flying tiger. People would not carry goods. Martial artists were different from mortal caravans. Mortal caravans had to carry a large amount of goods. Martial artists' goods were all stored in their storage rings. The four-winged flying tiger roared as it flew. It had 4 huge fleshy wings that were more than 50 meters wide. With a flap of its wings, a gust of wind swept up. The 60 huge four-winged flying tigers flew a few thousand meters in the air and formed a formation. A white-robed old man stood on the foremost four-winged flying tiger, looking into the distance. This old man was the guide of the caravan. Not only could he tell the direction, but he could also avoid thunderstorms and storms. He could see them from afar and could always take a detour to avoid them. This was a guide that every caravan had. It was also called a wind guide. A wind guide was the most valuable asset of every caravan. It could help the caravan avoid many dangers. The salty sea breeze blew, and Lu Ming felt refreshed. This is the real sea. Lu Ming stood on the back of the four-winged flying tiger and looked into the distance. The blue sea was boundless, and one couldn't see the end of it. It was as if it was connected to the sky. The surface of the sea was very calm. It was completely different from the sea that Lu Ming saw in the heavenly realm. After looking for a while, Lu Ming sat down cross-legged. The journey to Golden Sand Island would take half a month. During this time, he could cultivate properly. He sank his consciousness into his sea of consciousness and sat cross-legged under the lightning cauldron to comprehend the state of thunder. A few hours later, Lu Ming finished comprehending the state of thunder. He started to deduce the exploding star fist in his mind. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. Splash! The sound of waves crashing came from below. At the same time, cries could be heard. When Lu Ming looked down, he was slightly startled. Large fish appeared on the surface of the sea below. These large fish were all black. Lu Ming estimated that each of them was about 100 meters long. There were more than 100 of them in total. They rolled in the sea and let out sharp cries. Now that he was in the deep sea, the number of sea demonic beasts gradually increased. Splash! Suddenly, a large part of the seawater caved in, revealing rows of sharp teeth. A large black fish was caught off guard and was directly bitten in half by the sharp teeth. A massive shark leapt out of the water, giving off a monstrous aura. What a huge shark! Lu Ming estimated that this shark was at least 1,000 meters long. It was incomparably huge and looked like a small island in the sea. Chapter 645. The huge sharks chased after each other, dyeing the ocean red. Just at this moment, 2 large furry hands stretched out of the sea. These 2 hands were incomparably huge, and their palms were nearly 100 meters wide. They grabbed the shark's mouth and forcefully pulled. The shark's mouth was directly split in half, and even its body was almost torn apart, causing blood to spurt out. An incomparably huge ape emerged from the sea, opened its big mouth full of teeth, bit the shark, and tore off a large piece of shark meat from the shark. It's a water ape. It's so powerful. It's at least as powerful as a peak king. Not good. It's targeting us. Someone exclaimed. At this moment, the water ape's huge eyes looked up at the sky, filled with a violent aura. But fortunately, it only glanced at the shark's body for a while before slowly sinking into the ocean and disappearing. The demonic beasts in the ocean are really powerful. Lu Ming sighed inwardly. The most amazing thing was that the demon beasts in the sea were too huge. They were easily a few hundred meters long, or even 1,000 meters long. On land, it was rare to see such a huge body, unless it was a powerful demon beast that had inherited the bloodline of a divine beast. In the sea, the law of the jungle was displayed even more vividly. Continuing to fly, Lu Ming saw even more huge and powerful demonic beasts along the way. Once, they met a demonic beast that looked like a dragon. It was 2,000 meters long and had a boundless aura. It was definitely equivalent to a Sea of Soul Realm demonic beast. Fortunately, they went around it. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. No wonder it was said that ships couldn't move forward in the chaotic astral ocean. They would definitely be torn apart by these huge demonic beasts. 5 days later. There's a thunderstorm ahead. Turn around and head right. Feng Xiangshi yelled from the first four-winged sky tiger. The flame caravan immediately turned around and flew to the right. In the blink of an eye, 7 days had passed. Lu Ming focused on comprehending the thunder intent and exploding star fist. The rest of the time, he cultivated spirit fire. Adding the time before, Lu Ming had already cultivated exploding star fist to the 2nd level. Its power was already not bad. After all, he lacked practice and couldn't take out the enlightenment ancient tree to cultivate, so his cultivation speed was naturally not fast. Wong. Buzz. On the evening of the 8th day, a series of buzzing sounds suddenly came from the front. The sound was rapidly approaching. Not good. It's flying arrowfish, a school of flying arrowfish. A loud roar reverberated throughout all the four-winged flying sky tigers. Get ready for battle. Just as he finished speaking, a resplendent attack burst forth from the front. Lu Ming's four-winged flying tiger was at the back of the formation. For the time being, it was not attacked. He looked forward. The sky in front of them was densely packed. It was a type of fish with wings. It was about half a meter long and had a sharp mouth like an arrow. Whoosh, whoosh. This kind of fish was the flying arrowfish. With a flap of their wings, their bodies shot out like arrows, piercing through the air and making tearing sounds. Most of these fish were only equivalent to the martial arts grandmaster level, but there were too many of them. A small number of them had reached the level of martial king. Boom, boom. Multicolored attacks flashed out, and large swaths of flying arrowfish were killed, falling into the sea like raindrops. Everyone, attack! Kill these flying arrowfish and leave this place at once. Chun Zhao floated in the air and uttered a roar. With a single slap, over 1,000 flying arrowfish were killed, displaying his strength of the 7th layer martial emperor realm. Lu Ming shook his head and did not interfere. Although there were a lot of flying arrowfish, their strength was not strong enough to cause any harm to the merchant group, thus there was no need for him to interfere. Beside him, Xian Yinqing had no intention of interfering either, and continued to sit with his legs crossed. As expected, the school of flying arrowfish was almost wiped out in a short while, allowing the merchant group to leave the place and continue flying forward. Whoosh! All of a sudden, a figure appeared before Lu Ming and the others. It was Chun Zhao. At that instant, Chun Zhao's icy face became even colder. He stared at Lu Ming and Xian Yinqing and said, "Why didn't you two interfere just then?" His tone was extremely unfriendly, as if he was questioning them. Lu Ming frowned. He did not like it when others spoke to him in such a tone. Therefore, he was naturally unhappy. He said calmly, "It's just some flying swordfish. We don't have to do anything. When the time comes, we will naturally do it." Haha, no need for you to interfere? How ridiculous. Do you think you're peerless experts? How ridiculous. I think you don't even dare to interfere. You're just a coward. Qin Zhao burst out laughing with a mocking look. Xian Yinqing's eyes flickered coldly. Lu Ming frowned and said in a cold tone, "It's none of your business whether we're experts or not. Besides, we've paid chi crystals for this trip. I've never heard of any rule stating that we're required to interfere. Chun Zhao's expression stiffened. It was true that there was no rule stating that they were required to participate in the journey after paying chi crystals. As a matter of fact, people like Lu Ming and his crew were not required to interfere. However, most people would interfere when they were in danger, just so the merchant group could reach their destination as soon as possible. Chun Zhao, that's enough. At this moment, Luo Xian flew over and chided. Then, she smiled at Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing. Young Master Lu, Miss Xie, Chun Zhao is a little hot-tempered. I hope you don't mind him. Xian Yanqing snorted coldly. Lu Ming smiled faintly and did not say anything. You're weak and you're a coward. Just say so. Chun Zhao coldly left behind these words, then left and flew off into the distance. Young Master Lu, Miss Xie, I'm sorry. Luo Xian smiled apologetically and left as well. What a snob. Xian Yanqing curled his lips. Lu Ming smiled faintly and rubbed his nose. It was not that they did not want to interfere, but he had already seen that the flying arrow fish did not pose a threat to the merchant group. It did not matter whether they interfered or not. That was why they did not interfere. If the merchant group was in danger, they would not sit back and do nothing. The small incident was over just like that. The merchant group continued on their journey. 2 days passed in the blink of an eye. On the evening of the 10th day, a small island appeared in front of them. The Zhongyi Island is up ahead. Let's go down and rest for the night. We'll continue tomorrow. Luo Xian's voice was heard. The four-winged flying tiger had been flying for 10 days. No matter how strong its stamina was, it was tired and needed rest. It could not travel continuously. The four-winged flying tiger roared and flew toward the island below. The island was not big. It had a radius of about 1,000 miles. It was originally a place for merchant groups to rest midway. They landed on a huge square on the island. Shopkeeper Yin, the Flame Trade Union is here. Prepare some good food for us. A burly man flew down from the Flame Trade Union and shouted. Huge stone houses were built on the side of the square. In the past, the merchant groups that passed by would rest there and have some food. Chapter 646. What's going on today? In the past, Shopkeeper Yin would come out to greet us before we landed. Why isn't there anyone today? Chun Zhao frowned. Luo Xian also frowned. Suddenly, her expression changed and she said, Oh no, something's wrong. Let's leave quickly. Let's go, let's go. It was clear that some of the more experienced people had also thought of something and shouted out one after another, Ha ha ha, it's too late to leave now. Stay here. A cold laugh was heard. Then, the sound of something breaking through the air was heard. Figures appeared in all directions of the square. There were at least 1,000 of them, standing in the air and surrounding the flame merchant team. Pirates, they're pirates. Someone exclaimed. The faces of Luo Xian and the others darkened. Traveling in the chaotic astral ocean was not a big deal, but pirates were the scariest. The chaotic astral sea was originally a gathering place for some evil people. Those evil people who couldn't survive in the eastern wasteland would go to the chaotic astral sea, and no one could find them. The pirates in the chaotic astral ocean were even more vicious. They specialized in killing passing caravans and robbing cultivation resources. Their methods were extremely ruthless and did not leave anyone alive. Some pirates even practiced evil cultivation methods that required killing, blood, and even the souls of martial artists to cultivate. Everyone, we're from the Flame Merchant team. I hope you can give us some face. I know the rules. I'll give you 1 million top-grade spiritual crystals and let us leave. How about that? Luo Xian flew out and wanted to negotiate with them. The Flame Merchant team was a huge merchant team in the chaotic astral ocean. They were powerful and famous. Some pirates would give them some face when they heard about the Flame Merchant team. Unfortunately, Luo Xian was wrong. A burly man with a scar on his face flew out. He looked at Luo Xian's curvy body with a burning gaze and sneered. 1 million top-grade spiritual crystals, and you want to send us away? Do you think we're beggars? How about this? Leave half of your goods behind. Also, serve me for a night. If I'm satisfied, I'll consider letting you go. Then, The burly man with the scar licked his lips. His eyes were full of lust. Luo Xian's face turned pale. You're dreaming. Don't think you can defeat us. You have less than 1,000 people. We have more people than you. If we really fight, it's hard to say who will win. Chen Zhao shouted, his anger soaring to the heavens. Haha, so what if you have more people? In my eyes, we're all lambs. Kid, let me tell you. We've never won't win with numbers. The burly man with a scar on his face. What? You're the blood pirates? The faces of Luo Xian, Chen Zhao, and the people at the scene changed drastically. Fear was written all over their faces. Hee, it seems like you've heard of the Blood Evil Pirate Group. You should also know that our methods have always been to eliminate the source of trouble and leave no one alive. Today, I'm in a good mood, so I'll be lenient. It's still the same as before. As long as you serve me well and leave half of the goods, I'll let you go. Chun Zhao's expression kept changing, and he didn't continue speaking. Don't even think about it. Miss, I'll use all my strength to escort you out. The blood pirates can't be trusted. Even if we agree to their conditions, they'll go back on their words. An elder walked out from behind Luo Xian. His body emitted a powerful aura. This elder was a peak-tier king. Old man, you want to escort her out by yourself? Stop dreaming. The burly man with a scar smiled coldly. A peak-tier king also emitted a powerful aura. Peak-tier king. This burly man was also a peak-tier king. Not only that, but another powerful aura appeared behind the burly man. It was also a peak-tier king. The blood pirates had sent out 2 peak-tier kings. Everyone's heart sank. The flaming merchant group only had 1 peak-tier king, and he usually wouldn't attack just in case. Normal pirate groups rarely had peak-tier kings, but the blood pirates were an extremely powerful pirate group in the chaotic astral ocean. It was normal for them to have peak-tier kings. No one had expected 2 to come. I gave you a chance, but you didn't want it. Now, you have no chance. The burly man with the scar's eyes flashed with a fiendish and bloodthirsty light as his aura became stronger and stronger. Kill. Cripple the young girl's cultivation and leave her behind. Kill everyone else. The burly man with the scar roared. Kill. Kill. The blood pirates all roared as their fiendish auras spread out. From their auras, every member of the blood pirates was covered in blood and had fought for a long time. Such people had rich battle experience. Ordinary cultivators would feel uneasy, and their battle power would decrease if they were suppressed by their fiendish aura. Shwa, shwa. Roars rang out one after another as they charged towards the Flame Trade Union. Chun Zhao, take the young lady and charge out. This old man will block them. The peak-tier king of the Flame Merchant Group roared as he charged at the burly man with a scar. Old man, die. The burly man with a scar's eyes were cold as he slashed out with a blood-colored saber. A river of blood surged toward the elder from the Flame Merchant Group. Star-breaking sword. The elder from the Flame Merchant Group stabbed out with his sword. Specks of starlight shot toward the burly man. Boom. With a loud explosion, his body trembled as he rapidly retreated. With one move, he was at a disadvantage. Luo Xian and the others felt despair in their hearts. You want to stop me with this little bit of battle power? You're courting death. The burly man with a scar laughed coldly. Go, you guys go. The elder roared at Luo Xian and the others. Hee, go? Where do you think you're going? A cold laugh sounded as a skinny figure appeared in front of Luo Xian. His aura was unfathomable. This person was the other peak-tier king of the blood pirates. Luo Xian, Chen Zhao, and the others' faces were as white as paper and their hearts were dead. Arg! At this moment, screams came from all directions. The blood pirates had the upper hand in the first exchange, and people from the Flame Merchant Group were constantly being killed. Old 5, this girl isn't bad. After you play with her, you have to let me play with her. The skinny man looked at Luo Xian as a fiery light flashed in his eyes. Okay, Old 6, since you like her, of course you can. The burly man with a scar laughed coldly. Luo Xian's body started to tremble. Damn it, damn it. If my big brother was here, he would definitely be able to kill them easily. Chun Zhao roared, "Die!" Following this, the burly man with a scar slashed at the elder. Boom! The elder's body retreated once more as blood spilled from his mouth. Even peak-tier kings had a huge difference in battle power. It was obvious that the burly man with a scar was stronger than the elder. "Old man, 3 more slashes and I'll kill you." The burly man with a scar laughed coldly. "You won't have the chance." Right at this moment, a clear voice sounded. Chapter 647. The scar-faced man was shocked. He didn't even see how the two of them appeared. The two of them were naturally Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing. When the scar-faced man saw Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing's age, he heaved a sigh of relief. How much of a threat could 2 young men in their 20s be? It seemed like he was too careless and didn't notice them. It's them. Luo Xian, Chen Zhao, and the others also saw Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing. What are the two of them doing here? Are they courting death? Chen Zhao couldn't help but ask. Young Master Lu, the Flame Trade Union can't even protect themselves in this situation. They can't protect you guys. You guys should run for your lives. If you're lucky, you might be able to escape. Quick. Luo Xian's character wasn't bad. She was still thinking about others at this moment. Leave, none of you can leave. Haha, there's actually such a beauty in this world. What luck. At this moment, the scar-faced man's eyes were fixed on Xian Yanqing. His body was emitting blazing flames. Old 5, the one from before is yours. This chick is mine. The skinny man's eyes were also fixed on Xian Yanqing. His eyes were almost popping out of their sockets. She was too beautiful. Simply too beautiful. Luo Xian was considered a decent beauty, but compared to Xian Yanqing, she was far inferior. They couldn't help but sigh and rejoice. Today's luck was too good. Luo Xian sighed inwardly. It's over. Xian Yanqing is so beautiful. Now that 2 peak-tier kings of the Blood Evil Pirate Group have their eyes on him, how can he escape? Xian Yanqing frowned. The killing intent in his eyes was incomparably cold. All of you must die. A cold voice came out from Xian Yanqing's mouth, causing the others to be stunned. Xian Yanqing actually wanted to kill 2 peak-tier kings. What wishful thinking. Little Qing, leave these 2 to me. I'm looking for someone to practice my fist. You go and help the others. Lu Ming said to Xian Yanqing. Xian Yanqing coldly glanced at the scar-faced man and the skinny bamboo pole and said, "Fine, I will leave them to you. But don't kill them easily. I will kill them." "All right." Lu Ming nodded. The others were stunned. Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing, what were they doing? Could it be that in their hearts, the scarred man and the skinny bamboo pole were trash that could be killed at will? After all, these were 2 peak kings. Truly, newborn calves are not afraid of tigers. Senior, go and help the others. Leave these 2 to me. Lu Ming strode forward and said to the pinnacle king of the Flame Chamber of Commerce. The old man was also stunned. Brat, it's your mistake to pretend to be a hero. Die. The scar-faced burly man shouted coldly and slashed his saber at Lu Ming. The blood-red saber gleam cut through the air with a whistling sound and slashed at Lu Ming's head. Its power was stronger than before. Be careful. Luo Xian exclaimed subconsciously. I'll use you guys to practice my fist. Lu Ming's lips curled into a sneer as he threw a punch. Exploding star fist. Space shook as a fiery red fist light shot out like a meteor towards the scar-faced man's blade light. Wherever the fist aura passed, due to its ferocity, it turned the air into liquid. The liquid wrapped around the fist aura and collided with the saber aura. Boom! With a loud explosion, the scar-faced man's blade light was directly shattered and disappeared without a trace. Not only that, the remaining fist light forced the scar-faced man back. Luo Xian, Chen Zhao, and the others' eyes almost popped out. Their mouths were wide open as they stared blankly. Lu Ming actually destroyed the arrogant scar-faced man's blade light with a single punch and forced him back. How could Lu Ming's combat strength be so terrifying? This was a true pinnacle expert. As for the burly man with the scar, his expression changed drastically. He did not expect Lu Ming to have such powerful combat abilities. Come here. At this moment, Lu Ming punched out. A bright fist light pierced through the void and blasted towards the skinny man. The skinny man still wanted to stop Xian Yinqing, but Lu Ming quickly pulled him over. It was not easy to find a few opponents to practice with. It would be a pity if the skinny man was killed by Xian Yinqing in one move. The explosive fist light created a huge pressure on the skinny man. He could only block it with all his strength. Boom! The fist light exploded, and the skinny man was blasted 1,000 meters away. "Let's work together and kill this little bastard," the scar-faced man roared. "All right." Swish, swish. The skinny man and the scar-faced man worked together and attacked Lu Ming with all their strength. Good. Lu Ming threw out 2 consecutive punches. Fist gleams burst out, cutting across 1,000 meters of the void and blasting toward the duo. With 2 explosions, the 2 were sent flying again. Swish, swish. Immediately after, 2 more fist lights pierced through the void and blasted towards the 2. The fist lights seemed to be endless. The scar-faced man and the skinny man were completely suppressed and fell into a disadvantageous position. This was the result of Lu Ming suppressing his true yuan and the exploding star fist not being fully developed. Otherwise, they would have been blasted to death by Lu Ming. Sky Demon Force Field. On the other side, Xian Yinqing's delicate voice sounded. With a press of her jade-like hand, the terrifying Sky Demon Force Field covered 1,000 meters. All the blood evil pirates within, whether they were late-stage kings or ordinary kings, were sliced into pieces and died. Luo Xian and the others were dumbfounded and dumbfounded. Geniuses. I didn't think that we would have 2 peerless geniuses in our team this time. How lucky. The old man at the peak of the king realm sighed, and his face was covered in happiness. Yeah, I really didn't expect this. Luo Xian also sighed. On the other hand, Chun Zhao felt his face burning. He thought back to 2 days ago. At that time, he had pointed out that Lu Ming and Xian Yinqing were cowards and didn't dare to attack because of their low cultivation. Now that he thought about it, every word he said was like a pair of slaps to his face. Lu Ming was right. They didn't attack because there was no need for them to attack in that situation. They would naturally attack when needed. However, he still ridiculed Lu Ming. Damn it, they made me lose face. Aren't they just peak kings? My big brother is much stronger than them. Qin Zhao didn't feel good. He thought that Lu Ming had made him lose face. "Let's attack together and kill these blood evil pirates," said the old man. His figure flashed, and he charged at the blood evil pirates. With the 2 peak kings, the old man and Xian Yinqing, attacking, the blood evil pirates were naturally one-sided, and large numbers of them were killed. This was especially true for Xian Yinqing. The moment she released her Sky Demon Force Field, a large number of pirates were enveloped, and they had nowhere to run. The more the blood evil pirates fought, the more shocked they became. That fiendish aura from before had already faded, and only fear remained. Retreat, retreat. The other side has too many peak kings. Some blood evil pirates roared. They had already lost their fighting spirit. The moment their fighting spirit disappeared, their battle power weakened, and more people were killed. Chapter 648. Kill. Many members of the Flame Merchant Association roared, their eyes red from the killing. They had thought that they were going to die today, but the situation suddenly reversed and their morale soared. In just a few minutes, several hundred of the blood evil pirates had been killed. Finally, the blood evil pirates collapsed and retreated. Xian Yinqing and the others chased crazily, leaving a large number of corpses along the way. Of the 1,000 blood evil pirates, at least 800 were killed. Only 100 or 200 managed to escape. Boom, boom. Lu Ming's fist energy was like a rainbow as it tore through the air like a meteor, bombarding the scar-faced man and the skinny man endlessly. The scar-faced man and the skinny man were already trembling as blood flowed out of their noses and mouths. Their internal organs had already been injured by Lu Ming's fist energy. Awesome, awesome. Lu Ming felt that the exploding star fist was becoming smoother and smoother. It was much more comfortable than when he had comprehended it by himself. Lu Ming felt that the exploding star fist was approaching the 3rd level. Cultivating a martial technique required great battles. The knife-scarred man and the skinny bamboo pole watched as their subordinates were killed or fled. Others like Xian Yinqing and the old man from the Flame Chamber of Commerce rushed back. Their hearts sank. They knew that today, they were most likely going to die. Damn it! Even if I die today, I won't let you off easily. Let's die together. The scar-faced man roared with murderous intent. They were used to life and death in the chaotic astral ocean, and they often walked on the edge of life and death. At this moment, their ferocious nature was aroused. Let's die together. The skinny man's aura also became berserk. Not good. They're going to self-detonate. The old man from the Flame Merchant Association exclaimed, "Retreat! Retreat!" Chen Zhao and the others who were watching the battle started to scream in fear. The self-detonation of a peak-tier king was extremely terrifying. Everything within 100 miles would be affected. Did I allow them to self-detonate? Lu Ming's eyes turned cold, and his true essence crazily erupted. Lu Ming's current Zhen Yuan was extremely strong, and once it erupted, the two fist energies immediately became incomparably terrifying and instantly shattered the void, exploding on the body of the scarred man and the skinny bamboo pole. Before the two of them could self-destruct, they were torn apart by the terrifying power. They didn't even have the chance to scream. Whoosh! Lu Ming's figure moved. In a flash, he swallowed their blood essence and put away their storage rings. Of course, Lu Ming's devouring of blood essence was done very discreetly. The devouring power acted on his palm and absorbed the blood essence. Then, Lu Ming's figure flickered, flitting past the corpses and devouring their blood essence. There were almost 800 people here, with 200 to 300 martial Emperor Realm cultivators. The blood essence was too rich. How could he miss it? Luo Xian, Chen Zhao, and the others were dumbfounded. Two Peak Kings were killed by Lu Ming just like that. After a while, there was an earth-shattering cheer. Most of the people were cheering, especially those from the Flame Chamber of Commerce. They often came to the chaotic astral sea and naturally knew the reputation of the blood pirates. They originally thought that this time, they were doomed, but they didn't expect Lu Ming and Xian Yinqing to be so unbelievably strong. They were actually two Peak Kings who easily crushed their opponents. Naturally, they were cheering, happy, and excited to escape death. I heard that during this period, many young geniuses have entered the chaotic astral sea to gain experience. There are even top geniuses on the list of top 1,000 talents. Are these two geniuses on the list of top 1,000 talents? I don't know. I don't know their names. In my opinion, even if they're not on the list of top 1,000 talents, they're close to it. There was a burst of discussion all around. Master Lu, Miss Xia, thank you so much for saving us this time. Luo Xian can't thank you enough. Luo Xian walked up to Lu Ming and Xian Yinqing and bowed. Miss Luo Xian, there's no need to be so polite. Like I said, if you need my help, I'll definitely help. Lu Ming smiled faintly. Humph, if we don't help, I'm afraid someone will drive us away. Xian Yinqing snorted coldly and glanced at Chen Zhao, who was standing not far away. Of course, this sentence also reached Chen Zhao's ears. Humph, what's there to be proud of? Aren't they just Peak Kings? It took so long to kill two pirates, and their names aren't on the list of top 1,000 talents. What's there to be proud of? If my brother wasn't over 30 years old, he would have been on the list of top 1,000 talents. Chen Zhao secretly gritted his teeth and clenched his fists so tightly that his knuckles cracked. All right, let's rest. Lu Ming strode toward a stone house. The others also began to clean up the battlefield. There was no one in the stone house. Obviously, the people on this island had long been killed by the blood pirates. Lu Ming randomly found a stone house and began to refine the essence blood. The essence blood of two Peak Kings, more than a dozen kings in the profound realm, and hundreds of martial artists of various levels was extremely rich. Lu Ming used all of it to improve the Nine Dragons bloodline. Unfortunately, the Nine Dragons bloodline did not advance to the 9th level of the king level. The amount of essence blood needed to advance to the 9th level of the king level was far from enough. The night passed uneventfully. The next morning, the four-winged flying tiger had rested enough, so the group set off again toward Jansha Island. Along the way, they encountered some trouble and even encountered a small pirate group. However, this pirate group didn't even have a peak king and was easily defeated. 5 days later, they finally arrived at Jinsha Island. Jinsha Island was one of the larger and more famous islands in the chaotic astral ocean. It had a radius of hundreds of thousands of miles, like a continent. There was a lot of golden sand on it, so it was named Jinsha Island. Jinsha Island could be considered a large gathering place in the chaotic astral ocean. There were many factions coming and going, and at least several tens of millions of martial artists had gathered here. It could be said that experts were as common as clouds. Even Sea of Soul Realm experts were not in the minority. It was just that Sea of Soul Realm experts usually did not show themselves. The four-winged flying tiger of flame commerce landed on a vast golden beach. Young Master Lu, Monsieur, this should be your first time coming to Jinsha Island, right? Our flame commerce has a large gathering place here. Why don't you come and have a seat? I'll be the host and take you on a tour. Luo Xian walked over to Lu Ming and Xian Yinqing and said with a smile, "Many thanks, Miss Luo Xian. However, the two of us have other matters to attend to. Let's talk next time." Lu Ming declined. "Oh, since that's the case, then next time. However, young Master Lu, Miss Xie, the chaotic astral ocean is not like the outside world. Here, there are no laws and no heavens. Killing can happen at any time. You too must be careful." Luo Xian warned with good intentions. "Many thanks, Miss Luo. Farewell." Chapter 649. Luo Xian sighed as she watched Lu Ming and Chen Xiaobei leave. What a pity. It would be great if our Flame Chamber of Commerce could employ such geniuses. Miss, that's basically impossible. They've reached the peak king realm at such a young age. They're definitely the successors of some major force. In a few years, they might even make it onto the list of top 1,000 talents. Their futures are limitless. How could our Flame Chamber of Commerce hire such people? The Peak King from the Flame Chamber of Commerce walked to the side and said softly, "Elder Wu, you overestimate them. In my opinion, their battle strength is only average. My brother can definitely defeat them easily. They're just lucky to be born in a major force and rely on huge amounts of resources to raise their cultivation. There are many people like them in those major forces, and they definitely won't make it onto the list of top 1,000 talents." Chen Zhao walked up and sneered. He was still very unhappy with Lu Ming. Luo Xian sighed. Chen Zhao was too narrow-minded. He would never amount to anything. Lu Ming and Xian Yinqing flew into the air and headed toward the interior of Jinsha Island. Soon, a huge city appeared in front of them. The two of them flew toward the city. There was no one guarding the city. People came and went, and it was very lively. As Lu Ming and Xian Yinqing approached the city gate, they immediately attracted many gazes. Most of these gazes were from burly men. These men were burly and strong, and their killing intent was undisguised. They stared at Xian Yinqing with burning eyes. Not only were there middle-aged men, but there were also a few white-haired old men. Their eyes were also burning as they looked at Xian Yinqing. Xian Yinqing frowned. Lu Ming smiled bitterly and touched his nose. Xian Yinqing's charm was too great. He attracted attention wherever he went. Lu Ming could not stop others from looking. However, if someone wanted to go further, Lu Ming's fist would have been itching for a fight. The two of them ignored the gazes and walked into the city. Inside the city, there were many shops, and it was even more lively. There were many stalls set up on both sides of the street, and many strange things were being sold. I didn't expect there to be so many warriors on Jinsha Island, Lu Ming thought to himself. Furthermore, Lu Ming discovered that the quality of the cultivators on Jinsha Island was very high. There were almost no weaklings. Lu Ming swept his gaze over them and saw that most of them were martial kings. Of course, there were also those below the martial king level. However, they were all high-level martial arts grandmasters. The weaker ones did not dare to wander around. It was no wonder that the entire eastern wasteland had many ferocious warriors or warriors who had practiced evil martial arts. Many of them would come to the chaotic astral sea, which led to the fact that the chaotic astral sea had many high-class warriors. The number of high-class warriors in the chaotic astral sea was much higher than in most of the big areas. Martial kings were everywhere. Brat, What the fuck do you mean? I saw this deep-sea frosty iron first. What are you trying to do by interfering halfway? Do you want to die? I think you're the one who wants to die. So what if you like her? I want this deep-sea frosty iron. In front of a stall, two burly men in their 40s were arguing. You're courting death. With a loud roar, one of the burly men pulled out his saber and slashed at the other man. You're the one who's going to die. A long spear appeared in the other man's hand. The long spear turned into a bolt of lightning and pierced the throat of the man in front of him. The man let out a loud roar and collapsed to the ground. Humph, you're really courting death. How dare you try to snatch the deep-sea frosty iron from this old man? The burly man with the long spear put away his long spear and took the storage ring of the other man. Then, he looked at the stall owner again. The deep-sea frosty iron is mine, the burly man said. Okay. The stall owner smiled and handed a piece of metal to the burly man. He did not find it strange that one of the men had died. The people around them did the same. They just glanced at it casually and then went on with their own business, as if it was a common thing. Not long after, several black-clothed men appeared and took the corpse away. Lu Ming and Xian Yinqing looked at each other and continued to walk forward. Old bastard, you dare to touch my woman? Die. They had not taken a few steps when another loud roar came from the front. A man in his 30s chopped an old man in half with an axe. The people around them just glanced at each other and then went on with their own business. The chaotic astrologian was indeed the chaotic astrologian. It was chaotic enough. Killing people was a common occurrence. One wrong word and blood would splatter. Let's find a restaurant and have something to eat, Lu Ming said to Xian Yinqing. The two of them were used to the wind and waves. They had experienced countless life and death battles. Naturally, they got used to it quickly. Xian Yinqing nodded, and the two of them walked toward a restaurant. Boom. Just as they arrived at the entrance of the restaurant, the whole restaurant exploded with a boom. Broken wood and stones flew everywhere. Some of the people with lower cultivation were directly injured by the broken stones. Lu Ming waved his hands, and his vital essence burst forth. The front part of the gravel and wood fragments that were shooting toward them collapsed. Whoosh, whoosh. Dozens of figures flew out from the 9th floor. Hey, you're cursing. Even a cup of wine can't be at peace. Which bastard is fighting in the restaurant? The sound of cursing could be heard. Boom. Two figures rushed into the sky from the smoke and dust and started fighting. Powerful auras filled the air. One of them was a burly man, and the other was an old man. Both of them were 9th-layer Martial King realm cultivators. Many people shut their mouths. Boom, boom. The two of them exchanged dozens of blows in the air. In the end, the burly man was stronger and killed the old man with a slash. You dare to go against me? You're courting death. The burly man cursed. He took the storage ring and was about to leave. Wait a minute. A short and fat man dressed like a shopkeeper flew into the sky and said with a smile, You two have destroyed my restaurant. You haven't paid for it, and you want to leave. That's too immoral. Fatty, you want me to pay for it? Hee, I think you're tired of living. The burly man glanced at the short and fat shopkeeper and revealed a hideous smile. I'm running a small business. Of course I have to pay for it. The short and fat shopkeeper said with a smile, Pay for it? Fine. I'll pay with your head. The burly man revealed a hideous smile and slashed his sword at the shopkeeper's throat. The short and fat shopkeeper was still smiling. When the burly man's sword was about to reach him, he struck out with his palm. A huge palm condensed and crushed the burly man's sword light, grabbing him in its hand. A peak Martial King. I'll pay, I'll pay. The burly man yelled in fear. However, with a squeeze of the hand, the burly man's body exploded. A storage ring flew into the short and fat shopkeeper's hand. Wouldn't it be fine if you paid for it earlier? You're courting death. Sigh, I have to rebuild the restaurant again. What a loss, what a loss. The short and fat shopkeeper sighed. It seems like we'll have to eat at another restaurant. Lu Ming was speechless. This place is quite interesting. What do you think? Chapter 650. Indeed, this place was very interesting. For the strong, it was heaven, But for the weak, it was hell. They had to live in fear. Otherwise, they would be killed at any time. In another restaurant, the waiter respectfully welcomed Lu Ming and his companion into the restaurant. There was a flattering smile on his face. The waiter was not even a martial grandmaster. In Jinsha Island, he was at the bottom. Anyone could kill him with one finger. Therefore, he lived in fear and trepidation. "Sir, what do you need? Just tell me." The waiter asked with a smile as he led Lu Ming and Xie Yinqing to a table on the second floor. "Just give us some wine and dishes." Lu Ming smiled and ordered some wine and dishes. "Sir, please wait a moment. It will be served soon." The waiter turned and ran back. Unexpectedly, he accidentally bumped into a big man. The big man's genuine vitality shook. The waiter stumbled back 5 or 6 steps and sat on the ground. "Boy, don't you have eyes? How dare you bump into me? I think you're tired of living." The big man had only one eye and was wearing an eye patch. He stared fiercely at the waiter. The waiter's face instantly turned pale without a trace of blood. He kneeled down in front of the one-eyed man and began to kowtow. He cried out, "Master, master, please spare my life. I didn't do it on purpose. Master, please spare my life." The waiter kowtowed. He did not dare to use his genuine qi to defend himself. After a while, blood flowed from his forehead. However, he did not dare to wipe it off. He continued to kowtow desperately. "Hee, spare your life? In your dreams. Since you don't look where you're going, I'll dig your eyes out and make you blind." The big man with one eye revealed a ferocious smile. The waiter's face was pale and full of despair. In Jinsha Island, with his cultivation, if he went blind, he would die. "Sir, please spare my life. Please spare my life this time." The waiter kowtowed desperately and begged bitterly. Hee. The one-eyed man remained unmoved, and a fierce glint flashed across his eyes. One of his own eyes had been gouged out. Since then, he especially liked to gouge out other people's eyes. That way, he would feel the pleasure of revenge. Whoosh! The one-eyed man's 2 fingers pierced towards the waiter's eyes as fast as lightning. The burly man was a lesser perfection king, whereas the waiter was not even a martial ancestor realm cultivator. The difference between them was like heaven and earth, and it was impossible for the waiter to avoid them. Lu Ming frowned and raised his hand. A stream of Zhen Yuan swept out and wrapped around the child. Then, he pulled the child back and dodged the one-eyed man's attack. The waiter was pulled to their table by Lu Ming. He was still in shock and trembled all over. The one-eyed man looked at Lu Ming and the others with a malevolent look in his eyes. Especially when he looked at Xian Yinqing, his eyes were full of lust. "Brat, you dare to meddle in my business? I think you're tired of living." The one-eyed man smiled ferociously and walked towards Lu Ming's group. The waiter was scared out of his wits. However, Lu Ming did not even look at the one-eyed man. He picked up his wine cup and slowly took a sip. Ta, ta. The one-eyed man walked step by step to Lu Ming's table and said with a voice full of killing intent, "Brat, you're lucky today. Our brother Feng has taken a fancy to this girl and asked her to accompany him to drink. Also, if you cripple your own eyes, we'll forget about this matter and spare your life." Lu Ming's lips curled into a cold smile. He had long seen that the burly man's target was Xian Yinqing. As soon as they went upstairs, the one-eyed man's table looked at Xie Yinqing with burning eyes. Then, the one-eyed man got up and walked over. He deliberately stood behind the waiter, causing the waiter to bump into him. The one-eyed man did all this on purpose. He was just looking for an excuse to cause trouble. Scram. Lu Ming took a sip of wine and coldly spat out the word scram. The one-eyed man's face changed and then became more ferocious. He said, "Brat, I wanted to spare your life, but you're courting death." Whoosh! Then, the one-eyed man's finger stabbed towards Lu Ming's eyes like a sword. Then, there was a shrill scream. Of course, it was not Lu Ming who screamed, but the one-eyed man. Lu Ming flicked his finger and a spear light flashed and blinded the one-eyed man's other eye. The one-eyed man covered his eye with his palm and blood flowed from his face. He roared and screamed like a wild beast. "Ah, kill, kill, little bastard. I'll kill you. I'll kill your whole family." The one-eyed man roared and rushed towards Lu Ming like a madman. In the next moment, the one-eyed man's body flew out of the window of the restaurant and fell heavily on the street outside the restaurant. His scream came to an abrupt end. The one-eyed man was dead. Boom, boom, boom. At a table near the window, 3 men suddenly stood up and emitted a powerful and cold aura. The temperature in the restaurant dropped rapidly as if winter had arrived. The one-eyed man had been at the same table as these 3. It's Gu Feng from the Lone Wolf Adventurer team. That brat is in danger. The one he just killed is Gu Feng's man. Gu Feng will definitely not let him go. That's for sure. The Lone Wolf Adventurer team is quite strong on Golden Sand Island. This Gu Feng is also used to being a tyrant. The key is his big brother, Lone Wolf, who is a Peak King. Around them, other people whispered. Most of them were looking at Lu Ming and Xian Yinqing with schadenfreude. Hearing the Lone Wolf Adventurer team, the waiter's face became even paler and his body trembled. It's over. It's over. Young master, please leave. Don't worry about me. My life is worthless. Don't lose your life because of me, the waiter said with a trembling voice. Lu Ming smiled faintly. This waiter was quite nice. He was clearly scared to death, but he still asked Lu Ming and the others to leave. Don't worry. Lu Ming smiled with a calm expression. Pong, pong. Right then, the 3 men had already arrived before Lu Ming and the others. The man in the front was in his 30s. His neck was a bit crooked, but his eyes were extremely cold. He stared at Lu Ming and said coldly, "Brat, you dare to kill our Lone Wolf Adventurer team's people. Today, I will make you wish you were dead." Then, he looked at Xian Yinqing. His eyes scanned Xian Yinqing's body, revealing his lust, and said, "Little girl, immediately draw the line between you and this brat. Then, follow me back and serve me well as my maid. This way, you can live comfortably on Golden Sand Island. Do you understand? Hurry up." Idiot. Lu Ming took another sip of wine and said indifferently. Gu Feng's eyes shone with an ominous light as he looked at Lu Ming and said, "Brat, what did you say? I don't care what force you are from. When you come to Chaotic Astral Ocean and Golden Sand Island, even if you are a dragon, you will have to coil up." Chi. Before he finished speaking, Gu Feng attacked, his claw grabbing at Lu Ming's throat. Chapter 651. However, before Gu Feng's claws could reach Lu Ming, he was enveloped by a powerful force field. His movements immediately became as slow as a snail's. "You're so noisy. I can't even eat in peace. So annoying," Xian Yinqing said coldly. Gu Feng's face revealed a terrified expression. He wanted to turn around, but with a bang, he turned into a bloody mist. Yes, under the terrifying force field, he turned into a bloody mist. Not even his bones were left. Only a storage ring was left, and Xian Yinqing grabbed it. The others in the restaurant were shocked. Xian Yinqing's methods were truly evil. He didn't even move, but he turned Gu Feng into a bloody mist. It was so terrifying that it made one's scalp go numb. As for the 2 burly men who were with Gu Feng, their faces instantly became pale, without a trace of blood. You killed Gu Feng. Our captain won't let you go. Our captain is a peak-level king," one of them said with a trembling voice. "Oh, so you're saying that this battle is unavoidable?" Lu Ming asked. "That's right," the burly man replied. "Okay, then you guys stand there and wait for us to finish our meal," Lu Ming said lightly. He continued to pick up the wine glass and took a sip. Xian Yinqing was the same, but her face was a bit cold. The 2 burly men stood there. They wanted to leave, but they didn't dare. They could only look at each other and stand there, not knowing what Lu Ming was planning. A few minutes later, Lu Ming finished his meal and said to the waiter, "Little brother, you can go back to work." Huh. The waiter was stunned. However, he still stared at the 2 Lone Wolves Adventurer team's men in fear. "Don't worry. From now on, Golden Sand Island will no longer have the Lone Wolf Adventurer group." Lu Ming smiled. The others were shocked. What did Lu Ming mean? They soon understood. Lu Ming looked at the 2 burly men and said, "Lead the way." "What?" The 2 men were stunned. "Lead the way to your Lone Wolf Adventurer team's nest. Hurry up." Lu Ming's eyes turned cold as killing intent filled the air. The two men shuddered. Lu Ming actually wanted to go to Lone Wolf's headquarters? What was he planning to do? Annihilate Lone Wolf? Could it be that this time, we've really provoked two fiends that we shouldn't have? The two men's hearts turned cold. Hurry up if you don't want to die immediately. The killing intent in Lu Ming's eyes grew even stronger. The two burly men's faces turned pale as they hurriedly nodded. No matter what, they would leave this matter to their leader, Lone Wolf, to handle. They secretly prayed that Lone Wolf would be able to kill Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing. The two burly men led the way. Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing headed towards Lone Wolf's lair. Let's go take a look. These two youngsters actually want to kill their way into Lone Wolf's headquarters. How shocking. They're so confident. They definitely have the ability to back it up. This time, Lone Wolf might have kicked an iron plate. I heard that many young geniuses from the eastern wilderness have entered the chaotic astral ocean to train. These two might very well be those geniuses. Looks like we'll have to keep a low profile when we see young people. The others in the restaurant discussed as they went down the restaurant and followed Lu Ming's group. Along the way, when others learned the truth, they also followed. In a short while, there were hundreds of people following behind them. There were many adventurer teams in the chaotic astral ocean. These adventurer teams would usually enter dangerous places to go on adventures and search for treasures. However, most adventurer teams would mainly act as guards for caravans and earn money. The Flame Trade Union had previously hired an adventurer team. The Lone Wolf adventurer team's lair was located in a mountain 3,000 miles west of the city. What's going on? Enemy attack. When Lu Ming and the rest arrived, there was a loud shout in the lair of the Lone Wolf adventurer team. Lu Ming turned and understood. There were hundreds of people behind them. It was no wonder that the Lone Wolf adventurer team screamed in fright. Whoosh! Whoosh! In the next moment, beams of light flashed from the mountain. Over 100 people appeared in front of Lu Ming's group. The leader was a middle-aged man with a gloomy expression. His eyes flickered with ruthlessness. Leader! Leader! Help! The two of them killed Brother Feng. The two men in front of Lu Ming yelled. The leader was Lone Wolf, the leader of Lone Wolf's adventurer team. What? Second brother is dead? Lone Wolf's eyes instantly turned red. Then, he looked at Lu Ming with murderous intent and said in a cold voice, Brat, no matter what the reason is, I will skin you alive for killing my second brother. Also, Lone Wolf looked at Xian Yanqing and said, I will reward you to my brothers. They will take turns to serve you and let you have your fill. As soon as he said that, the members of Lone Wolf's adventurer team looked at Xian Yanqing with burning eyes. Oh, I wanted to explain to you why I killed your second brother. Looks like I don't need to anymore. Lu Ming smiled faintly. The chaotic astral ocean followed the law of survival. The strong preyed on the weak. Bullshit logic didn't work here. As long as one had strength, one had reason. Lu Ming quickly understood this point. Puff, puff. Lu Ming flicked his finger and two spear lights shot out, killing the two men who were leading the way. Then, he stepped forward and walked toward Lone Wolf. Die! Lone Wolf's eyes turned cold. A huge wolf appeared above his head, and a violent and bloodthirsty aura exploded. Swoosh! Both of Lone Wolf's legs kicked in the air. His figure immediately turned into phantoms, pouncing toward Lu Ming at an alarming speed. Lu Ming remained calm. A long spear appeared in his hand. He waved his arm and the long spear shot out like a bolt of lightning. In the next moment, a shrill cry was heard and a figure was pushed back. It was Lone Wolf. At this moment, his eyes were filled with disbelief. His chest had been pierced by a long spear. The powerful destructive force had already completely destroyed his internal organs. One move, just one casual move, and the long spear had pierced his heart. That spear was too fast and too sharp. He couldn't dodge it at all. Clang! The powerful force of the long spear sent Lone Wolf flying a few thousand meters away. He was pinned to a cliff on the mountain. Lone Wolf was dead. The people who came to watch were dumbfounded and shocked. Lu Ming's combat strength was beyond everyone's expectations. He was too strong. Lone Wolf couldn't fight back at all. Who is he? Is he a peerless talent on the list of top 1,000 talents in the Eastern Wilderness? I don't know. I don't know his name. Shocked discussions could be heard one after another. The people from the Lone Wolf Adventurer team were horrified. Their team leader, a peak-level expert, Lone Wolf, had been killed in one move. Run. They immediately turned and ran. Don't even think about leaving. Xian Yinqing stepped into the air and pressed his palm down. The Sky Demon force field exploded and enveloped the more than 100 people from the Lone Wolf Adventurer team. A destructive force was produced. In the next moment, all of them were killed. Their bodies fell to the ground like raindrops. Chapter 652. CSI. The sound of people sucking in cold breaths could be heard. Those who were watching the battle widened their eyes in shock. They were not shocked by the death of over 100 people. In the chaotic astral ocean, it was normal for people to die all the time. They were shocked by the strength of Lu Ming and Xian Yinqing. One killed a Peak King in one move. The other killed over 100 experts with a wave of his hand. Among them, there was no lack of Martial King Realm Greater Success Kings. The strength of the two was very shocking. Those who had coveted Xian Yinqing's beauty felt a chill in their hearts. They were glad that they did not attack. Otherwise, they would be the ones who died. Now, the way they looked at Xian Yinqing was no longer filled with passion and greed. Instead, there was only fear and terror. Lu Ming swept his gaze across the crowd. Everyone's expression fell into his eyes. Lu Ming had a deeper understanding of the word riot in the chaotic astral ocean. In the chaotic astral ocean, if you were merciful, everyone would bully you. However, if you were more ruthless than others, everyone would be afraid of you. Lu Ming's figure flickered as he devoured the essence blood of all the Lone Wolf Adventurer team members. Let's go. Then, he left with Xian Yinqing. Soon, the two returned to the city. They planned to find an inn to stay in and buy a map of the chaotic astral ocean. Then, they would find a suitable place to train. When the two returned to the city, they saw many people flying in one direction. Let's go to the Fate Battle platform. King Yama has attacked again. This time, his opponent is the 7-Zen-old monster. What? King Yama and the 7-Zen-old monster are going to fight? The 7-Zen-old monster has not fought for many years. Let's go and see. This battle is going to be exciting. One by one, the figures quickly flew in a certain direction. Fate Battle platform? Lu Ming and Xian Yinqing were stunned and curious. It seemed like a battle between two experts. What kind of experts could attract so many people to watch? Let's go take a look. Xian Yinqing looked at Lu Ming. That's what I was thinking. Lu Ming smiled. Following which, the two of them followed the crowd and walked forward. After a while, they arrived in front of a huge building. The building was round and huge. As they approached, they could hear loud cheers and roars coming from inside. Could it be that the great battle has already begun? I won't be late, right? Hurry up and go in. Many people flew towards the entrance of the building. 200 top-grade spiritual crystals per person. Someone stood guard at the entrance, blocking everyone and shouting, "This is my spiritual crystal. Take it." Many people paid the spiritual crystals and rushed into the building. However, there were too many people and they needed to line up. There are so many people here. It seems that the King of Hell and the 7-Zen-old monster are not ordinary people. Lu Ming thought. After a while, it was their turn. The two of them walked in. The inside of the building was round. In the middle was a huge fighting ring that was a few miles long and wide. Around it were ring-shaped spectator stands. There were more than 100 levels, and it could seat at least a few 100,000 people. After the two of them walked in, they found that at least 100,000 people were sitting on the spectator stands. The fighting ring was empty. There was no one at all, only a pool of blood. What's going on? Where is everyone? Isn't the battle between the King of Hell and the 7-Zen-old monster? Why don't I see anyone? Yeah, where is he? The people who came in later cried out. Where is he? He's only here now. Where is he? The battle is over. Someone said. What? The battle is over? What's the result? Who won? The King of Hell won. The King of Hell and the 7-Zen-old monster exchanged 100 blows. In the end, the The 7-Zen-old monster was killed by the king of hell's sword. I'm late. How unlucky. 200 top-grade spiritual crystals were wasted. Let's watch the other battles. Many people who came late sighed and found a seat. Young Master Lu, Miss Xie. Suddenly, Lu Ming heard a feminine voice. Luo Xian. He turned around and saw a young woman walking toward him. It was Luo Xian. Beside Luo Xian were two people. One was Chen Zhao, and the other was in his 30s. He had a tall and sturdy body and looked similar to Chen Zhao. Miss Luo. Lu Ming smiled. Young Master Lu, Miss Xie. What a coincidence. Are you here to watch the Fate Battle Ring as well? Luo Xian smiled. Yes, but it seems like we missed it, Lu Ming said. Yeah, the King of Hell is a peak expert who has risen recently. He has never lost a battle between peak-tier kings. He has won 19 times in a row. Including this battle, he has won 20 times in a row. As for the 7-Zen-old monster, he has lived for nearly 800 years. After cultivating for so many years, his battle strength is extremely terrifying. He has almost no opponents among peak-tier kings. He has also won 19 times in a row on the Fate Battle Ring. Many people are looking forward to the battle between the two. Who would have thought that this battle would come so suddenly? It's a pity that we missed it, Luo Xian said with a trace of pity. A battle between peak-tier kings? 19 consecutive victories? Lu Ming's interest was piqued. Young Master Lu, Miss Xie, there should be other battles coming up. Let's find a place to sit down, Luo Xian said. Then, they found a row of empty seats and sat down. On the side, Chun Zhao's face was gloomy and he did not speak. Whoosh! At this moment, a figure rushed onto the battle ring. It was a bald old man with the aura of a 7th-layer martial king. Who will fight with me? The bald old man shouted. I'll kill you. A bald man rushed onto the battle ring and also revealed his cultivation of a 7th-layer martial king. Haha, is that so? Your storage ring is mine now. The bald old man sneered. I should be the one saying that. I've taken a fancy to your storage ring. The bald man sneered. A battle sword appeared in his hand, and he attacked the bald old man. The bald old man took out an iron rod and met the attack. Boom, boom. The two of them engaged in an intense battle. However, after a few dozen moves, the bald old man had gained the upper hand. Haha, die. The bald old man laughed, and his iron rod attacked the bald man like a storm. The bald man retreated step by step. After a dozen or so moves, the bald old man's stick landed on the bald man's chest. The bald man let out a blood-curdling scream as the sound of bones breaking resounded from his body. He was sent flying back and crashed onto the battle stage, blood spurting out from his mouth. I admit defeat. I admit defeat. The bald man shouted. Admit defeat? It's too late to admit defeat now. Die. The bald man shouted and flew up. The iron rod hit the bald man's head and the bald man's brain burst open. He died on the spot. Haha, the storage ring is mine. Chapter 653. What's there to be happy about? Your storage ring isn't mine yet. Following a cold harumph, an old au fait went up to the fighting ring. This old au fait was wearing a red robe, and his aura was also at the 7th-layer martial emperor realm. It's Grandma Safflower. She's going to fight. She's a ruthless person who has already won 5 rounds in a row among the 7th-layer martial emperor realm. That's right. Every time she sees a big harvest, she will take action. That bald old man just got the storage ring of a LV7 martial king warrior. Now, as long as we kill the bald old man, we can get 2 storage rings. Let's see if the old bald man dares to accept the challenge. Every time Grandma Safflower's opponent dies miserably. As soon as Old O went up to the fighting ring, the crowd exclaimed, Safflower Grandma. The old bald man's expression changed greatly. Die. Safflower Grandma wore a cold expression as she was about to attack with a strong murderous intent. Wait, I surrender. I don't want to fight. The old bald man blurted out, You don't want to fight? Safflower Grandma's expression darkened as she said, Give me 200,000 top-grade spiritual crystals. What a coward. The old bald man took out 200,000 top-grade spiritual crystals from his storage ring and handed them to Safflower Grandma. He then left the fighting ring and flew to the spectator stand. "Is there anyone who wants to fight me?" Safflower Grandma put away the spiritual crystals and scanned the crowd. However, no one went up to the fighting ring. Safflower Grandma was extremely powerful at the 7th layer Martial Emperor realm. Who would want to fight her? After waiting for a while, Safflower Grandma left the fighting ring after seeing that no one was willing to fight her. Interesting. Miss Luo, what are the rules of the Fate fighting ring? Lu Ming asked Luo Xian. It's your first time here, so it's normal that you don't know. Let me explain it to you. Luo Xian smiled faintly and said, as the name suggests, the Fate battle stage is a battle of life and death. As long as you step onto the stage, it's a battle of life and death. The winner will win all of the opponent's possessions, while the loser will not only lose his life, he will also lose all of his possessions and his storage ring will belong to the loser. Lu Ming explained. Then how could that bald old man admit defeat? Lu Ming asked. There's a rule in the Fate battle platform. Those with a higher cultivation level cannot challenge those with a lower cultivation level. Of course, those with a lower cultivation level can challenge those with a higher cultivation level. Once you step onto the Fate battle platform, you can't refuse to accept the challenge. However, you can admit defeat before the battle starts. That way, as long as you give your opponent a certain amount of spirit crystals, you can avoid the battle. Just like when Red Flower Granny challenged the bald old man. The bald old man knew that he was no match for Red Flower Granny, so he admitted defeat before the battle began. As long as he paid Red Flower Granny 200,000 supreme spiritual crystals, he could step down. If he admitted defeat after the battle began, Red Flower Granny could refuse to accept the payment until Red Flower Granny defeated or killed Red Flower Granny. Of course, the higher one's cultivation, the greater the price of surrendering. If a Peak King surrenders before the battle begins, he or she will have to pay 1 million extreme-grade spirit crystals to the opponent. Luo Xian explained to Lu Ming in detail. Doesn't that mean the death rate is very high? Lu Ming asked. Of course, after the battle begins, the death rate is as high as 80 to 90%. Only a few people can escape with their lives. Luo Xian said. Lu Ming was inwardly shocked. The death rate was as high as 80 to 90%. Basically, if one went up, they would either win or die. Miss, why are you telling him so much? A young master from a large faction like him wouldn't dare to step onto the Fate battle platform. This is a true life and death battle. It's not a spar between fellow disciples. What's at stake is one's life and one's entire fortune. On the side, Chun Zhao revealed a mocking expression as he spoke with disdain. Last time, Lu Ming had caused him to lose face, and he still held a grudge against him. Oh, then you dare to go up? Lu Ming looked at Chun Zhao. Chun Zhao's expression stiffened as he said, What do you know? My brother has won 6 consecutive battles on the Fate battle platform, and he's a Peak Martial Emperor too. He's a lot stronger than the Peak Martial Emperor of the Blood Evil Pirate Group. If my brother was here last time, he would have easily defeated his opponent in a few moves. Chun Zhao switched the topic and pointed at the bulky man in his 30s standing beside him. Why are you mentioning your brother? I'm talking about you. You're a 7th layer Martial Emperor too, right? If you're so strong, why didn't you challenge Madame Safflower? Lu Ming continued to ask. Chun Zhao's expression stiffened as his face reddened. His strength was considered ordinary among the 7th layer Martial Emperors. Wasn't it the same as courting death? However, there was no way he could refute the fact that Lu Ming had pointed out. Interesting. On the side, Xian Yinqing mumbled with an intrigued expression. Lu Ming let out a smile as his eyes flickered with interest too. Lu Ming was more interested in the fact that he was betting his entire fortune on this battle. Although he had obtained 80 million supreme-grade spiritual crystals from the elders of the Cloud Sea Elixir Institution, he had already used up 18 million to break through to the Peak Martial Emperor realm. He only had 60 million left. 60 million seemed like a lot, but it was far from enough for Lu Ming. These spiritual crystals wouldn't be enough to break through to the Sea of Soul realm in the future. The Sea of Soul realm required one to open a spiritual sea, a true Yuan sea. The amount of energy required to open a true Yuan sea was simply too much. A martial artist at the first layer of the Sea of Soul realm could store 10 times more true Yuan than a peak martial emperor. Lu Ming needed 18 million supreme-grade spiritual crystals to break through to the peak martial emperor realm. Lu Ming estimated that he would need at least 300 million supreme-grade spiritual crystals to break through to the Sea of Soul realm. This was just a conservative estimate. In reality, he might need even more. 300 million supreme-grade spiritual crystals was still too far away from him. Therefore, he needed to accumulate more supreme-grade spiritual crystals. The Fate Battle stage was a good channel for that. Moreover, he could use it to train his martial skills and devour his opponent's essence blood to increase his bloodline grade. Lu Ming's gaze once again turned to the Fate Battle stage. At this moment, another person stepped onto the Fate Battle stage. He didn't hold back at all as his aura spread out. It was a peak martial emperor. The atmosphere became lively again. Sea of Soul realm martial artists rarely participated in this kind of battle. As for peak martial emperors, they stood at the peak of martial emperors. Every battle would attract the interest of many martial artists. Who will fight with me? This peak martial emperor was a burly man in his 40s. He looked around. Let me. A white-haired old man stepped onto the stage and faced the burly man. Without saying anything else, the two started fighting. Violent energy spread out in all directions. It was terrifying to the extreme. However, a light screen rose up around the fighting ring, blocking the energy that shot out in all directions. Clearly, there was a powerful inscription array on the stage to prevent the audience from being injured. The battle was intense. The two peak martial emperors weren't weak at all. They weren't any weaker than the scarred man from the Blood Evil Pirate group. Chapter 654. However, after exchanging more than 20 moves, the white-haired old man suddenly erupted with power and killed the middle-aged man in one fell swoop, seizing his storage ring. So strong. Is this old man esteemed spirit turtle from Golden Turtle Island? That's him. I didn't expect him to come to Golden Sand Island as well. No wonder he's so strong. Esteemed spirit turtle has been in seclusion for many years. His battle strength is unfathomable. I wonder who will challenge him next. Discussions broke out all around. This esteemed spirit turtle is indeed not bad. Lu Ming nodded. He could see that esteemed spirit turtle's sudden eruption should be some kind of secret art that could increase one's battle strength. Among Peak Kings, it was not bad. Not bad? Hee, what a big tone. You speak as if you're very strong. On the side, Chun Zhao revealed a disdainful smile. Lu Ming was speechless. Was this guy crazy? Wasn't it just because he didn't fight that time? Since then, he had been targeting him. Lu Ming directly ignored such a narrow-minded person, not even looking at Chen Zhao. Seeing that Lu Ming ignored him, Chen Zhao's face turned even uglier. Who will fight me? Esteemed spirit turtle looked around. For a moment, no one spoke. Looks like no one is going to fight? Esteemed spirit turtle sneered. Let me. At this moment, Chun Zhao's big brother stood up, and a powerful aura spread out. Qin Zhao's big brother was called Chen Dao. Chen Dao took a step forward and appeared on the Fate Battle stage. It's Chen Dao. Chen Dao is going to fight. This is going to be interesting. Chen Dao has 7 consecutive victories and is extremely powerful. He's a general of the Flame Commerce firm. Haha, if he fights esteemed spirit turtle, it will definitely be intense. Chen Dao's appearance made many people excited. Big brother is going to fight. Chen Zhao's eyes lit up. He then looked at Lu Ming and said, Lu Ming, let's wait and see. Let's see how powerful my brother is. Let's see how powerful a peak-level king can be. However, he discovered that Lu Ming had ignored him again, which made him rather depressed. Young man, you have guts. You dare to challenge me? Esteemed spirit turtle looked at Chen Dao and said coldly, Are you going to fight or surrender? Chen Dao's reply was simple but full of confidence. What big words. I've been in seclusion for dozens of years. Youngsters nowadays are getting more and more arrogant. Let me teach you how to respect your elders. Bang. As soon as he finished speaking, Lord Spirit Turtle dashed towards Chun Dao at lightning speed. At the same time, a powerful aura erupted from his body. It was that kind of secret technique. Although the Spirit Turtle spoke arrogantly and confidently, when it actually attacked, it used its full strength, not daring to underestimate its opponent at all. Those who dared to challenge him despite knowing his reputation, how could they be weaklings? He had lived for hundreds of years, and he knew this very well. A powerful fist force blasted towards Chun Dao. However, Chun Dao didn't move at all. When esteemed Spirit Turtle's fist force approached him, his eyes suddenly lit up and he moved. If he moved, he would draw his saber. A dazzling saber light lit up, seemingly slicing the space into two halves. Esteemed Spirit Turtle's fist force was also split in half. His face turned pale with fright as he frantically retreated to avoid the blade. However, this was only the beginning of Chun Dao's attack. Kill! Chun Dao yelled with a terrifying aura. A pale white saber light lit up again, this time stronger and sharper than the previous one. It instantly sliced through the void and slashed towards esteemed Spirit Turtle. Not good. Esteemed Spirit Turtle was shocked. He waved his fists, and a thick turtle shell formed in front of him to block the attack. Clang! The blade light landed on the tortoise shell, causing it to vibrate violently. A crack appeared on the shell. Before esteemed Spirit Turtle could even take a breath, Chun Dao had already launched the third blade strike, followed by the fourth, the fifth, one slash after another, each stronger than the previous one. It was endless as it slashed towards esteemed Spirit Turtle. When the seventh slash was unleashed, esteemed Spirit Turtle's turtle shell exploded, and the saber light flashed by. Then, Chun Dao sheathed his saber without any hesitation. Esteemed Spirit Turtle's eyes were wide open. A trail of blood appeared from his glabella and extended downwards. Poochie! Esteemed Spirit Turtle fell and was split in half. Esteemed Spirit Turtle was dead. Deafening cheers burst out from the crowd. Chun Dao had killed esteemed Spirit Turtle and achieved 8 consecutive victories. It was rare to see someone win 8 consecutive battles. This meant that 8 peak-level kings had died at Chun Dao's hands. Hee, did you see that? This is my big brother's strength. Chun Zhao glanced at Lu Ming proudly. Not bad, Lu Ming said calmly. He did think that Chun Dao was not bad. Chun Dao's battle strength was probably close to Saint Star's. Of course, Chun Dao was already in his 30s, 10 years older than Saint Star. He had spent 10 more years cultivating martial arts, intent realm, and physical body. In terms of potential, he was no match for Saint Star. The list of top 1,000 talents of the Eastern Wilderness selected youths under the age of 30. Not only did it look at cultivation, but it also looked at talent, the ability to fight above one's level, and potential. Some powerful forces had abundant resources and could produce a group of young peak-level kings. But these people could not make it onto the list of top 1,000 talents. You're really boasting. How many peak-level kings can match my big brother's battle strength? Chun Zhao sneered. Frog in a well. It was not Lu Ming who spoke, but Xian Yinqing. What did you say? Chun Zhao's face turned red. Someone's going to challenge him. Lu Ming ignored Chun Zhao and looked at the fighting ring. Chun Zhao also looked over. A young man in a blood-red robe stepped onto the fighting ring. He was about 26 or 27 years old. His face was cold, and there was a faint sneer at the corner of his mouth. Humph, you're overestimating yourself. How dare you challenge my big brother? You're courting death again. Chun Zhao laughed sarcastically. However, Chun Dao, who was standing in the fighting ring, had a grave expression on his face. The young man was just standing there casually, but he felt like he was facing a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. Moreover, the young man was not even 30 years old, yet he dared to step onto the fighting ring. He was definitely not simple. How should I address you? Chun Dao asked. Shuegang. The young man's face darkened. Shuegang? Chun Dao thought for a moment and secretly heaved a sigh of relief. He had thought that the young man might be a peerless genius on the list of top 1,000 talents in the Eastern Wilderness. If he was really a genius on the list of top 1,000 talents, he would have to consider whether to accept the challenge or not. However, Shuegang's name was not on the list of top 1,000 talents. Obviously, the young man was not on the list of top 1,000 talents. Fight or surrender? Shuegang's gloomy voice rang out. Fight. Chun Dao replied firmly. Good. I was afraid that you would surrender. Shuegang licked his lips, and the gloominess in his eyes deepened. Boom. The next moment, Shuegang's blood chi rushed into the sky. A huge, blood-red palm floated above his head, surrounded by 7 silver chakras. A 7th-grade king-level bloodline. Chun Dao's expression changed. Those who could reach the 7th-grade king-level bloodline were definitely peerless geniuses. For example, Qin Qingshan and Shang Xingchen were both 7th-grade king-level. Chapter 655. Blood Flame Palm. Shuegang struck out with his palm, causing the air to explode and even turn into liquid. A blood-red palm print blasted towards Chun Dao. Clang! Chun Dao struck out with his saber. The saber light was extremely dazzling. However, this time, Chun Dao's saber light did not split the blood-red palm print. Instead, the saber light was scattered by the palm print. Chun Dao's expression changed as he roared furiously. The second saber strike was even stronger than the first. However, Shuegang's blood-red palm print arrived again, one after another. It was extremely overbearing. Chun Dao struck out continuously. The 6th strike, the 7th strike. Soon, it was the 7th strike. Previously, he had used the 7th strike to kill a steamed spirit turtle. However, he was still at a disadvantage after using the 7th strike. Chun Dao roared furiously as the 8th and 9th strikes were unleashed. The saber light was dazzling as it split the palm print. However, there were countless palm prints that followed, endless. After the 9th strike, Chun Dao's body frantically retreated. Bloodline martial skill. That's an upper heaven class bloodline martial skill. Chun Dao is going to be defeated. A white-haired old man in the stands exclaimed in surprise. What? He actually comprehended a bloodline martial skill? Many people were shocked. Bloodline martial skill? Lu Ming muttered. A bloodline martial skill was a martial skill that a martial artist comprehended from their own bloodline. A martial artist's bloodline contained endless wealth. It was not as simple as a bloodline eruption. A martial artist comprehended from their own bloodline was a martial skill that truly belonged to them. It was the most compatible with them. It was easy to cultivate and extremely powerful. Cultivating someone else's martial skill was ultimately someone else's. How could it be compared to one's own bloodline martial skill? For example, if 2 warriors both cultivated a heaven-grade upper-grade martial skill to the 6th level, but one of them cultivated a bloodline martial skill that was comprehended from his own bloodline, then the power of the bloodline martial skill would be at least 50% stronger than the other person's martial skill, or even 100% stronger. The difference was too big. However, it was too difficult to comprehend a bloodline martial skill from one's own bloodline. It required exceptional talent. Furthermore, the higher the grade of one's bloodline, the stronger the bloodline martial skill one could comprehend. Not only could one comprehend a martial skill from one's own bloodline, but they could also comprehend a secret skill called a bloodline secret skill. For example, Qin Qingshan and Shang Xingchen, whom Lu Ming had seen, had comprehended a bloodline secret skill. As for Xian Yanqing, when he struck, a beautiful arm would appear and strike towards his opponent. That was a bloodline martial skill. However, until now, Lu Ming had yet to comprehend a bloodline martial skill. Firstly, the 9-dragon bloodline was not his own bloodline. It was awakened from a drop of 9-dragon essence blood. It was very difficult to comprehend a bloodline martial skill from it. In fact, the devouring power could be considered a unique bloodline secret skill of the 9 dragons bloodline. Bloodline. And bloodline martial skill was bloodline. This was especially so for those with special bloodlines. The bloodline martial techniques they comprehended were even more powerful. This was especially true for nature-type bloodlines. For example, the fire-type bloodline could comprehend a fire-type martial skill, which could be combined with the fire-type intent. This was something that other bloodlines could not compare to. Shuegang comprehended the blood intent. Combined with a blood-related martial skill, it was extremely powerful. Die! Shuegang strode forward. The blood and tint spread out and enveloped Chen Dao. Chen Dao even had a feeling that the blood in his body was slowly drying up. The blood intent was a special intent. It was extremely powerful and domineering. If one was hit by Shuegang's attack, it could directly devour the opponent's blood, causing the opponent's blood to dry up and die. Break! Chen Dao's saber light slashed out again, but it was useless. He was completely suppressed. Big brother, how can this be? How can this be? Chun Zhao's face was pale. He was extremely worried. His big brother was his backer. He was only a guard of the Flame Merchant Guild. Because of his big brother, he had a special status in the Flame Merchant Guild, allowing him to approach Luo Xian and even pursue her. If his big brother were to die, he would be nothing in the chaotic astral ocean as an ordinary 7th-layer martial emperor realm cultivator. He would only be an ordinary guard of the Flame Merchant Guild. His big brother was everything to him. Now, his big brother was in danger. Big brother Chen Dao. Luo Xian clenched her fists together in a nervous manner. Chen Dao was one of the generals of the Flame Merchant Guild. He could even be considered the strongest expert in the Flame Merchant Guild. If Chen Dao were to die, the Flame Merchant Guild would suffer a great loss. What should I do? What should I do? Luo Xian was extremely anxious. Bang! Bang! Shuegang's attacks grew stronger. Chen Dao was already worn out. I give up. I give up. Chen Dao yelled. Give up? I won't allow it. Shuegang let out a hollow laugh. Don't think you can kill me. Seeing that it was impossible to give up, Chen Dao let out a roar. His hair danced wildly as his aura rose slightly. He merged with his saber and turned into a brilliant saber glow that soared into the sky. Chen Dao was planning to escape. Trying to escape? Not so easy. Shuegang turned into a crimson ray and chased after Chen Dao, lashing out with his palm. Bang! Chen Dao was hit by the palm, causing him to cough up a mouthful of blood. However, he could not care less about his injuries as he fled toward the spectator stands. Shuegang chased after him. I'll give you 2 million top-grade spiritual crystals. Let me go. Otherwise, you won't be able to kill me. Chen Dao yelled and began to beg for mercy. He turned into a saber glow and fled in all directions. Coward, 5 million top-grade spiritual crystals, not one less. Shuegang roared. 5 million it is. Saving his own life was more important, so Chen Dao tossed a storage ring to Shuegang. Shuegang caught it and scanned it with his mind before stopping his pursuit. You're lucky. How boring. Shuegang did not chase after him and returned to the fighting ring. Chen Dao turned into a saber glow and flew back to the spectator stands. He took out a handful of pills and swallowed them, starting to heal his injuries on the spot. Luo Xian and Chen Zhao heaved a sigh of relief as they survived. Although the process was embarrassing, there's always someone better than you, Lu Ming said softly. Chen Zhao's face turned red. Lu Ming's words were obviously meant for him. Humph, my big brother has won 8 consecutive battles. What's so strange about meeting someone stronger? If you go up, you'll probably die in 2 battles. Chen Zhao was still stubborn. Is that so? Lu Ming smiled faintly and said to Xian Yinqing, let's go. Xian Yinqing looked at Lu Ming in surprise, then followed Lu Ming out. Humph, a coward won't dare to go up. Chen Zhao mocked. Whoosh. Lu Ming suddenly turned around and slapped out. Pa. The slap landed on Chen Zhao's face, causing blood and teeth to splatter. One side of Chen Zhao's face instantly swelled up. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.